just before we get started, I thought I'd do just a quick sort of introduction because I appreciate not everyone might have met me before, but my name's Alex and I work for JCS Online Resources. We're a subscription agent for a range of different publishers, including Cite Them Right, which is the resource we're going to look at today. If I just share my screen with you all quickly. There we go. So this is the our sort of catalogue page for the range of resources that we do. If I just open up the full catalogue, you can see we do sort of work across a range of different publishers and a range of different subject matters for schools. So even if at the end of this demonstration of Cite Them Right, there is another resource that you think or another subject that you think might need a bit of support, then we can sort of offer different resources for that. So it's definitely worth still getting in touch if at the end of this there isn't necessarily something for you at the end of it. But yeah, just to introduce the resource we're going to talk about today, the resource is Cite Them Right, which is a digital reference resource to help equip students with skills to reference really sort of any type of subject matter or materials. Yeah, that's just a little introduction into who I am and who I work for, but we'll get into the actual resource itself now. So this is the homepage of Cite Them Right. I'm already logged in, but normally students would need to actually enter sort of a username and password beforehand, or possibly do something else depending on the access method that the school's chosen. But once they've logged in, this is the page that students will then see once they've logged in. So if I just show you the sort of top bar here, you can kind of see all of the different materials that you can cite through Cite Them Right. And I forgot to mention, some librarians might be familiar with Cite Them Right already, especially because it's actually a book originally. This is kind of the digital version of that. So instead of students having to go find the book and run through all the pages, it's kind of all digitized for them, so they can just go to the section they want to find. But if you look at the top bar here, you can see kind of all the different methods that you can use. So they've got things for journals all the way through to digital and internet, where you can kind of cite things like TikTok, Snapchat, as well as other mediums like perhaps a student might want to look at some graffiti and actually cite that in a piece of work that they're doing, all the way through to sort of PowerPoints and everything. But I think from this you can kind of get a good idea of the sort of range of subjects that Cite Them Right can support students with citations in. So you know, you've got your bog standard journals, which people might use in things like the EPQ or the IB, all the way through to kind of maybe they're looking at STEM subjects and they want to cite a graph or a piece of scientific data, or even through to sort of company annual reports as well, if you're doing a bit of business as well, all the way to art, doing sort of graffiti and exhibitions and things like that. So hopefully that shows kind of the good range of different materials that there are for Cite Them Right. If I scroll down a bit, you can see there's also a little bar here that you can actually search through. That can be all the way through to getting some help on how to actually reference, all the way through to if I say I wanted to look at graffiti, for example, you could just search that in the bar and it would take you instantly to this search results page, and you can see graffitis right there. Click onto that. And you can actually see the page then that tells you how to actually do the citation. I'll go into a bit more detail on this page later, but for now I'll just go back to the home page quickly. You'll notice as well here that there's a tutorial button. I will go into a bit more information about that later as well. I just thought I'd highlight that now. It's very good, so we'll go into that in a bit more detail. Scrolling down the page, you've also got My Pages bit. This is where students can kind of bookmark anything they've found, or teachers can bookmark it. So students, if you know there's a page that students are regularly visiting, like journals, for example, or business annual reports and things like that, you can bookmark that onto the page, and students can instantly just click that and go straight to the page. They don't have to search through the whole site to find it. In terms of a bit further down the page, you've got editors highlights as well. So on this page, you can kind of see all of the different highlights that people at Cite Them Right have actually identified as kind of main things for students to look at. So you've got kind of what is referencing tutorials, how to identify confidential information, how to set out quotations in a piece of work as well. Those pages are really helpful for students. It's very simplified as well, so it's not too much information, very much bullet pointed, as well as short 2-minute clips from experts in the fields as well. So it's kind of good quality information that they're getting, but not too much information that it's going to overwhelm students. You'll also see down here on the right hand side there's kind of other relevant, useful information, so students can kind of click through all of that to get kind of the main information they need. So I'm just going to pop back to the home page again. And the last thing I just wanted to show you on the home page as well is there's advice from experts as well. Very similar to the editor's highlights, but it kind of gives students the basics of referencing, again, very simply laid out in terms of how you can avoid plagiarism, how to summarize all the information you want, how to understand plagiarism, and information like that. So yeah, another really useful thing for students to kind of just scroll down, have a quick read through. There's only 4 or 5 articles, I think, as well, so it's not too much information that students are going to be overwhelmed, but it's all the basic information that you would need to kind of get started with doing citations and things like that. So if I just go back to the top of the page again, and for example, just show you journal articles as maybe that's what students want to reference. You'll see once you click onto the page, you've got the 4 different types of journal articles that you might cite. So you've got, if you just wanted to cite a print article, or perhaps students have found an electronic article that doesn't have a page number but has an article number instead. So from these, you can just click and it will instantly bring you down to the relevant citation for you. But they're all listed below as well, so you can just scroll through them. So in this example, it will show students firstly the in-text citation, so how they would actually type it out in their essay, how they would then put that into their reference list, or if their information requires multiple authors as well, it's kind of showing you how to lay that out. And this is where kind of the main learning point is for students with Cite Them Right, instead of just like with some other resources that schools might have where the citation is done for the students. This actually has a you try section, so students will enter the relevant information that they want and sort of learn to do the citation that way. And after they've done it a few times, they might become a bit more familiar with how to do the citations. Once they've actually finished that citation as well, they can email it over to themselves. So they'll just enter their email address, what the subject of it is, and it will then email them the completed reference, which they can then either share or just copy and paste straight into their relevant information, into their essay, sorry, straight from there. So if I go back to the top as well, you can see that it does also hold all the different referencing types. So at the moment it's on Harvard, but you can choose to do Chicago if that's what your school prefers. Vancouver, all the other sort of citation methods are there. So it's really easy. Again, you just click the one you want and it will automatically change the page to give you the relevant information. And the citation order as well is listed underneath, which is really good as well. So it kind of helps students, and we'll also give them a bit of information about this referencing type as well, so they can kind of read into it a bit more and learn why that citation method is used and why it's relevant to what they're doing. So also a really good feature of Cite Them Right, really useful for students. You'll see here you've got the bookmark page as well in the left hand side. This is where if you click this, add it as journal articles and click save. When you then return back to the home page, you'll see it actually appears here in my pages. So again, just a really easy way of getting students to instantly find the bit of information they're looking for. If you've got a lesson coming up, you can just bookmark that page, and then as soon as students log in, they'll be able to see that that one has been bookmarked for them to look at. Just sticking with the home page quickly as well, you'll see there's a little introductory video to Cite Them Right down here. Again, it's really worth showing students this before you get going. It's a really short video, it's only 2 minutes long, but it really just goes into detail about the different, or how Cite Them Right works, where all the information can be found. So again, that's really easy to share as well. There's a share button, just enter the email addresses you want to share it with, and you can send it off to students. So yeah, that's just kind of the main ways that Cite Them Right works. If I go onto the tutorial page now, just to show you how this works, and this is also another really good benefit of Cite Them Right. It really takes students step by step through the important information they need to know about referencing. So it's all of the information they'll need basically. And so you can see once you've logged into it, you'll be brought to this page. It's really nice looking as well, really simple for students to use. They'll click onto the bit that they want to start with, which will probably be what is referencing, and you'll be brought to this sort of slide deck, which has got a bit of basic bullet points, as well as once you click into begin this. Oops. Okay, so you can actually start the page then, and it will take you through each step. Learning objectives to start with, and then a bit of information for the students to read through, and then an actual question for them, and it runs through like this the whole way through. So they'll have the question, they'll need to select an option, it will tell them if they're correct or incorrect, and it will also actually explain why they're wrong. So it's not just incorrect, it gives you kind of what you need to do differently. There's no way to go back either and change your answer, so you'll have to then restart this page and then kind of go from it again, read all the information and answer again. You'll do that through the whole process. Again, it gives them different activities as well, so it's not necessarily clicking, but all the different sort of access citation methods they want to use. Flick through all of the information, and then at the end of that, you'll be given a score on that each assessment. So you've got assessment 1 through to 4, which again just gives students those basic skills, gives them a bit of a challenge as they're doing it. And at the end of that, they'll also be able to download a certificate if they've achieved 100% in each of these. And then at that point, they'll know they've got the basic skills for referencing, and they're kind of ready to go into actually doing it themselves and using the you try section. So again, that might be a really good thing if you wanted to put sort of an hour aside in a lesson or half an hour just to get students to do this at the start, just to kind of get them up to speed with how referencing works. But yeah, it's a really good place to start and just get students familiar with how citation and referencing works. So that's the tutorial. One last thing I wanted to go through before the end of it, which might be kind of more for the librarian side of things, is the admin section. So I'll just click admin. I'm already logged in as an admin. So I'll just click admin home here, and I'll be taken straight through to the admin page. Obviously, if you need to enter sort of a username and password first, which we could set up for you. Onto the admin page, you can actually, there's sort of two options. So you've got the referencing tutorial customization and the website customization. If I start with the website customization, you can actually enter a institutional logo. So just choose the file that you want, and you put your own school logo in the top right hand corner as well, which can kind of help students just feel a bit more safer that it's a school resource and they're in the right place. You can also sort of change the homepage message, pull usage reports if you wanted to see how much it's being used within the school. This one I really like as well is the referencing system, so you can change the priority of the references. So if students might want to prioritize Chicago over Harvard at your school, you can actually change that order, so make that number 1 and change Harvard to number 4. So again, you can kind of play around with that. You can also remove references if you think it's just going to confuse students having all of those. You can leave it to just the referencing materials you use. Once you've done that, simple as just clicking update, and it will all be changed then on the student side of things. So they'll start seeing Chicago as the number 1 sort of reference for them. So again, a really nice tool for just making it as simple as possible for students. And then you've got the institution content on source types. This again just kind of lets you change custom messages to students. So yeah, that's the website side of things, and then you've got the referencing tutorial side of things. So again, you can pull usage reports on the tutorial to see how it's being used by students, if students are kind of getting good scores or if they're getting kind of lower end of school scores in each section as well. So you can kind of identify if there's possibly a bit of a section that needs going over again for students. So again, really good. It's got VLE integration on it as well, so you can kind of integrate that into your own VLE if you wanted to. So yeah, that's the admin section. Not much to it, but kind of you've got all the information you might need, especially the usage reports, which I know are quite important for seeing how well it's being used within the school. So yeah, you can pull usage reports with Cite Them Right. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of my basic introduction. There is a lot on there, so I'd probably say the best way to do it is just sort of have a trial, have a play around yourself, look at the different citation methods. We do have some free trial logins for schools to use as well, so we'll send this around afterwards as well. So don't panic and feel like you need to start quickly scribbling it down. But these are the login details for the trial. But like I say, we will send this around with the recording as well. So if you did want to kind of have a quick play around, look at all the different citation methods on there and see if it might be a good fit for your school, you can do that using those logins. The trial will last for 14 days as well, so plenty of time to kind of have a look around, especially with exams going on. Maybe there's a bit more free time to kind of have a look at this kind of stuff. So yeah, hopefully that's given you kind of just a quick, nice overview of how Cite Them Right works. But if you do have any questions, do let us know. And I'll be happy to help with those. But yeah, hopefully that's given you kind of a little basic introduction to it. How may we add students and make sure that they've done their assignment tutorial individual report? That I wouldn't be able to tell you myself, but I can look into that and get a bit more information on that. So I'll make a note of that, but we will get back to you on that, to how to pull the report. I think it's as simple as just doing a quick upload. So you download, so you kind of get a list of all your students' email addresses or things like that, and just upload it, and you can kind of add students to it. I think it's that simple, really. But I will double check that and get back to you. All right. Well, yeah, if there's no other questions, then yeah, thank you for your time, and hopefully, yeah, that's given you kind of a little overview of how Cite Them Right works. If you do sort of want pricing or anything like that, we can provide that. The best way would kind of be to get in touch with support@jcsonlineresources.org, or just drop me a quick email as well if you've got my email, and I'll be happy to help. So yeah, hopefully that's given everyone a good overview. But thank you for your time, and it's lovely to speak to you all. Thanks very much. Bye.